Hey soulmates, in today's video we are going to be making this beautiful wrapper kaftan bubu dress. So if you are interested in learning how to make, keep on watching. First off, we're going to start by placing our fabric on fold twice, just as you see me doing here in this video. For the entire bubu kaftan dress plus sleeve included, I'm using 3 yards of fabric. You want to make sure that after you have folded your fabric, it is up to your round waist measurement divided by 4 plus an extra 8 to 12 inches. Then you're going to proceed to mark out the length of your bubu dress plus folding allowance for the down part and joining allowance of the shoulder part. So that's the total of 2.5 that I'm adding to the actual bubu dress length. Okay, so let me zoom in and bring you guys close up so you can see what I'm doing. So this is me just basically outlining the shoulder line so it's more visible because of the color of the fabric I'm using. So now from the shoulder line, we're going to measure our shoulder to bust line, our shoulder to waist line, and our shoulder to hip line. Just for reference, we're not actually going to use these. I'm only going to use the shoulder to bust line and shoulder to waist line. So on our shoulder to bust line, it is actually our shoulder to underarm line. That's where your bust begins. So this is just going to be our underarm line. So on that line now, we're going to mark our bust measurements, our round bust measurements divided by 4. We're going to mark that, and then we're going to add an extra 2 inches for ease, because it's not a tight dress, but we just wanted to have a little tightness around our bust area. Now moving to the waistline, we're going to go ahead and mark our round waist measurements divided by 4 plus an extra of 8 to 10 inches. Now you're going to come down from the armhole line with 2 inches and mark a point. And then on the waistline, you're going to come up by 1 inch and go down by 1 inch. This is because you are going to be installing your belt, your side belts, through this place. So now connecting, we're going to be using a French curve to connect from our 2-inch marking at the armhole area to the 1-inch marking on the top side of the waistline area. Now we're going to proceed to marking the full shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus ½ inch for joining it to the sleeve, and then connect that point straight down to our bust line to create our armhole curve. Next, we are going to proceed to marking the basic round neck, which is 3 inches wide. I'm using 3.5 inch for the depth, but you can tailor it to how comfortable it is around your neck. And that will be for the front. For the back, we use 1 to 1.5 inches for the depth. And then we're going to come down by ½ inch from our shoulder line to mark our shoulder slope, and then connect that to the neckline. So before we proceed to cutting out our drafted pattern, we are going to go ahead and come on that marking at our waistline. We are going to come in by 1 inch and connect that straight down to the end of our dress length. Then we'll proceed to cutting out everything, making sure to cut your back neck depth first before you separate them, since the two pieces are together, before you separate them, and cut out the front neck depth. So now, since this is a basic round neck, there is no way it is going to pass your head without a zipper or an opening. So now this is me just creating an opening at the middle of the back neckline. I'm coming down from the shoulder line with about 6 inches from our shoulder line. So if you're measuring from your neckline, your back neckline depth is going to be 5 inches. If you are measuring from your shoulder line, it's going to be 6 inches. And then this is what our pattern is looking like so far. This is the neck area, the armhole area, then the armhole to the waistline area. This is where we're going to be installing our belts. So now we're going to proceed to cutting the sleeves of the dress. It is basically just a puff sleeve, a long puff sleeve. So once you decide the length that you want to use, measure from your shoulder to wherever you want your sleeve length to get to, and then add an extra 5 inches, because you know when you pass through your elastic to ruch it, so it creates the puff, it's going to become shorter because of the ruching of the elastic. Then you add your folding allowance to create your elastic tunnels and your joining allowance that you're going to use to sew it to the shoulder line. And then for the width, I used 21 inches. On fold it was 10.5, so in total 21 inches. And then I'm just going to place the dress onto the edge of the sleeve so I can trace out the armhole and then cut it out. So now on this side where we're going to be installing our belt, you know we left a 2-inch wide opening. So after removing 1/2 inch that we're going to use to sew close both sides, you'll be left with 1 inch. So we're going to cut a 1-inch wide belt, which is on fold. So you're basically just cutting out a 3 inches wide band or piece of fabric, 3 inches wide piece of fabric. Then you can choose whatever length you want, but make sure that it goes around your waist and ties properly. So when you fold your 3-inch piece of fabric, it's going to give you 1.5 when it's on fold. Then you are going to use your 1/2 inch to sew it close, so you'll be left with a 1-inch belt. Then at this point you can decide if you want to cut out a facing for your neck area or you want to cut out bias strips. I cut out bias strips for mine, or you can call it piping strips because I literally piped the neck, but yes, I cut out bias strips for mine instead of facing. You can cut facing, you can cut bias strips, whatever you want to use. Here you can see I already ironed stay to the wrong side of my bias strips. So these are all the pieces we have. We have bias strips, belt pieces, the main dress pattern, and then our sleeves. So first off, I'm beginning by double folding the edge of the sleeve to create tunnels for elastic. Now, using a safety pin, you're going to feed the elastic through the tunnels. So here I'm just cutting the elastic before I feed them through the tunnel, so I just have the exact size. And then you're just going to measure around your wrist or wherever your sleeve falls on your hand. Just measure. For mine it's my wrist because it's a long sleeve. And then cut including your side seam sewing allowance. So you can choose to make it tight or make it loose. Make sure to secure one edge of the elastic in place with a safety pin so it does not unravel as you feed it through. And then when you're done feeding it through, you also want to pin on the other side before taking it to your sewing machine to stitch it in place. Now this is what mine is looking like after I've stitched it down in place. Now repeat this process for the other sleeve. If you have a straight belt piece, you can go ahead and skip this next step, but this is me just joining together the pieces of fabric I have to create my belt. And then after joining it, you are going to sew out the belt and turn it outwards. So once we are done with the belts, we are going to set them aside and proceed to the main body of the dress. Now, placing the front and the back with right sides facing, we are going to sew the shoulder line with 1/2 inch. Now I'm going to go ahead and pipe the neck area of the dress, beginning with the V at the back. So please pay attention to how I fold the bias piece and how I'm placing it over the fabric. I'm basically just folding in 1/4 inch on both sides and then placing that onto the fabric, like placing the fabric in between that and then sewing along the edge. Just pay attention to how I am doing it here in this clip. So if you're a beginner, you can just pin this in place first before you take it to a machine and sew. So now I know you'll be wondering, how would the V part of the neckline go in to this piece? we are going to notch it. So once we notch it, it's going to be able, like, see the way I'm notching it now. They are notching it to give it 2 lines going sideways. So now once you open it, it can go straight into the piping piece with ease. You can decide to leave this as it is with this U shape, but I'm going to sew a little dart at the edge. And then this is what it's looking like. Next, we're just going to proceed to piping around the neck area using the same method, but beginning by folding in the rough edge before folding in the 1/4 inch on both sides, then inserting the fabric. Still, if you can decide to pin this before taking it to the sewing machine. So you can use tiny fabric for this or even tinier elastic, but I just used this elastic that I had, and I was supposed to install this before I piped the V part of this neckline, but I just stitched it in place afterwards because I forgot for the neckline. So next we are just going to go ahead and attach on the sleeves from one edge to the other. Now you don't have to pin the center line, but you can just notch and pin it for easy sewing. So once you pin the middle of the sleeve to the middle of your shoulder, which is the shoulder line, just want to sew from one edge to the other. Sew your sleeve together to your dress with 1/2 inch from one edge to the other. And then also repeat the process for the other sleeve. So here I just pinned the neckline in place so I can flip my fabric to the wrong side so we can sew the side seams. So here I've already gone ahead to pin my fabric together. So what I basically did was pin the round wrist together, pin the armhole line together, and then inserted my belt into the place the belt is supposed to go. And then you are inserting your belt with it facing inwards, right? So I inserted it and pinned in place. I already pinned along both sides of the dress. I'm just explaining how you are to pin it, and then you are going to go ahead and sew 1/2 inch from the beginning of the sleeve to the end of the dress, and then double fold the edge, which is the hem, double fold it and sew along the inner edge of the fold. And that's it for the making of this dress, guys. Hope this video was helpful to you. I hope it was clear and understandable. This is what the dress is looking like. Now you can go ahead and install your button onto the other side of the back neck, and then iron out your dress. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like, comment, share and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next one. Until next time, stay blessed. Bye.